Hi there, my name is John Stevens, pastor of Zion Lutheran Church in Oregon City, Oregon, and we're part of the ELCA. And welcome to Dollar Store Children's Sermons, where we take the lectionary text and we tie them to something from the Dollar Tree or from your house or somewhere, depending on where you are in the country or the world, because we're all in different phases and different places of reopening. But here we are. And we're going to make it work, and I am so glad you are here. So thank you for the work that you're doing, and it's important stuff. So there we are. We're looking at the gospel lesson, and I'm especially looking at that phrase, a cup of cold water. The text is all about welcoming one another, welcoming the other, and when it says, when you welcome one of the little ones with a cup of cold water. And there's a couple of things when I first read that, we might go, oh, well, when you do a simple welcome with just a cup of water. But there's something more there, because a cup of cold water at the time of Jesus would not be that simple. It would actually be a welcome that is on purpose and with intention, because they didn't have a freezer. They couldn't go and get ice cubes from the freezer to make the water cold. There wasn't a refrigerator with a picture where they could keep that cold. It wasn't something that was right away available. Yeah, you know what I mean. It wasn't available like that. And so there was intention. There was purpose, there was thought behind it. And so when we welcome others, when we have an act of being welcoming, there's this idea that we are called to do it on purpose. And even when we do random acts of kindness, we are put thought behind them. There's a point where when we see someone and we go, I'm gonna respond this way, we've thought about it at some point in our lives. Whether it be calling it way back to our baptismal promises, where the water was poured over our head and it said, are you going to speak up for the voiceless? Are you going to deny all the powers that will pull you away from God? Those promises we make in the waters of baptism, which is an interesting pullback to the giving a cup of cold water. But the idea that we do our welcome with purpose. So perhaps you have a box of your favorite cookies, or you have made cookies, or you've made bread. Let's say you've made chocolate chip cookies. And honestly, I have made so many chocolate chip cookies during this quarantine, self-isolation, and sheltering in place. So many. We've heard about the freshman 15. I have the COVID-19 or the COVID-30. I have eaten my weight in cookies. But when you make the cookie, when you make the chocolate chip cookie dough or whatever, and you've made that first cookie that comes out of the oven, when you give that cookie to someone else, you know there's thought and there's intention, and the person that receives that goes, whoa, I feel special. I feel like there was thought about this. And there's that idea of when we welcome the other, when we welcome the little one, when we welcome. And that, again, that little one, the phrase of the little one, the text has been talking about, that little one could be a child. It could also be someone new in the faith. It could be someone that is on the edge of society. There's so many ways that little one could be used. It's the vulnerable. It's the one that isn't on the inside of the circle yet. It's the one that needs to be welcomed within, because they're standing off into the edge and going, do I belong? It's like that, I tell my congregation that when we say all are welcome, we don't add an asterisk to that with the little underneath that says, except you. And we know people that's how it gets used many times. All are welcome. Well, what I really meant was that asterisk is not there in here. With the vulnerable, the people on the edge of society are being welcomed in, and we are to do it with purpose and intention. So when I'm thinking about the kids, I'm thinking about the cookie. I'm thinking about when you've got that something something that means so much to you, and you have thought with purpose and intention about giving that away in an act of generosity and an act of selflessness to welcome the other. I tell you, the stories that are being shared, there's story after story about kids being generous, kids standing up, and kids going, I want to expand the circle. Some of the largest peaceful protests in our country have been put together by 6 teenagers. That's amazing. I just read a story about a young girl that has put together, it's like 1,500 art kits for kids that are in foster care, and has been sending them out through this time. Amazing. I mean, these are acts of welcome and intention. So, anyway, I feel like I'm starting to ramble, but the point is there. The point is, we welcome with intention. A friend of mine, magician, and he lives in Canada, and he is an EMT. He's probably, I think that's still what he's doing, but I know him as a magician, and he did a TED Talk a while back, and the theme of the TED Talk was random acts of kindness are a total waste of time. And it's a wonderful phrase, because you go, what? Because he doesn't believe that there's such a thing as random acts of kindness, because we leave the house with the thought in our head that I am watching for opportunities to be kind. I'm watching for opportunities to help the other. And that takes a randomness out of it. Yeah, there are places that seem to just fit in, but there's nothing random about it, because I'm going out there with the expectation that I'm going to be kind and I'm going to help my neighbor. So when I walk in and I see someone who needs help with their groceries, or I see someone who maybe I can return their grocery cart with my gloves on and whatever, however you're staying safe. But this idea that I've the fact that I've thought about wearing my mask, and that's maybe another connection point about mask wearing, is that I'm wearing my mask because it's an act of kindness and it's an act of welcoming to the other, because I don't know that person's situation, I don't know their health, I don't know their vulnerability, so I'm going to wear my mask as a sign of welcome that I have thought about my neighbor. Sometimes I talk long enough that I get this springboard for myself, and I think I have found it. I was going with the cookies, I was going with the fresh baked bread, and maybe the end piece, because I know my wife loves it. But I'm thinking now the springboard is the mask. Wearing the mask for the caring of my neighbor, and I'm wearing it with intention because I've had to think about it, like the cup of cold water, giving the cup of cold water that is there. That's my springboard. All right, I'm almost at 10 minutes, and there we are. I do want to say I am so proud of the work you guys are doing, because I see the stuff, I see different videos that, the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon kind of thing. It's like a friend of mine, and a friend of mine has shared a children's sermon that someone else has done somewhere here. And you guys are rocking this. And thank you so much for all of your wonderful work. And thanks for being part of this community. I can't do it without you, and so I'm very thankful. And please know that. All right, blessings, and I will see you next week.